Hey, hey, hey. What's up, sexy people? What's up, sexy people? What's up, sexy people? It is so good to see y'all joining us. What's happening? Welcome to Nights with Nikki. I'm trying to get set up on this here live right here because I'm going to be going on live on Instagram Live too. Thank y'all for coming in here, hanging out with me. We got a lot to unpack. When I say we got a lot to unpack, we got a lot to unpack. What's up, sexy people? Come on in here. Welcome, 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 welcome. I'm about to play y'all one of my jams while we wait. Take a listen. I'm just getting set up here on my IG. Let's turn up a little bit. I'm just getting set up on IG, so bear with me, y'all.
Beat in the street with the top down. Like my lips and the hips swing right now. It's just system more bass the way that it drop now.
I love this record, y'all.
Wanna get on top of the hood and hop now. Make me wanna crawl outside.
That's Monica Blair.
Candy apple range. Get it with the rings. See, I'm
From Soul Kitten's Cabaret, I've been banging this quite a bit, y'all. Alright, let's get my Instagram people on here. The work Thank you guys for joining me. Nice to meet you live. I really appreciate the love. We are talking tonight about that's really interesting conversation that we're gonna have tonight. Thank y'all for popping in here. Appreciate you. Tonight we are talking on Nights with Nikki about an active shooter who happens to be a black woman. An active shooter who happens to be, or who was an active shooter. She is now in custody, guys. But I'm blown away by it, and I need to talk to some folks. I need to vent, especially when I discovered that she was indeed. Not only was she an active shooter, but she was also in the middle of a litigation with the people that she allegedly did this to. So I want to, let me get my IG folks in here. It's a lot to talk about tonight. Come on in here, y'all. Come on in here, y'all. Come on in here, y'all. And I want to hear from you guys. I am wide open for us to have more dialogue about this woman. Hey, sexy people. What up, y'all? What's up, beautiful people? I see you, IG. I see y'all. Shout out to people watching me on Instagram, my IG. Shout out to the people watching me on worth.tv, which is where I really want you guys to be sure to tune in, because worth.tv is our new, it's not a YouTube channel. Thank you. Team 5789 said I was waiting on you. Yes, y'all. Tonight is going to be an interesting conversation. Hello to my sorors. What's up, Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated? Yep. I'm going to get my E up right. Listen here, y'all. We are talking tonight about the African American woman who went into a facility, the suspect who went into a facility. I'm looking for something, y'all. Who went into a facility. I don't know if this was her job. I don't know if this was her. We're going to talk about it. I've gotten some links that have just blown my mind. You guys, listen. When I first heard about this, my mouth was wide open. Just like I'm sure all of y'all were wide open. That's just not something that you are used to hearing Black women do. When first of all, I was just, picking my grandson up from school today. And, I said, hold on, wait a minute, hold on. Active shooter downtown Atlanta. An active shooter in downtown Atlanta. What the hell is going on? Now, before we get too deep into this, if you're on worth.tv, if you are on Facebook, if you are on LinkedIn, if you are on Twitter. Matter of fact, before we get too deep into this, let me make sure I'm on all of my outlets, y'all. I'm getting there. We getting there. I just got to make sure it's all good. But when I looked and I saw that there was actually an active shooter in downtown Atlanta, first of all, that tripped me out because I'm like, what? They shooting in Atlanta now? That's too close to home. Many of you know I reside in the ATL. I'm from the D, but I live here in Atlanta, and I'm proud to be a ATL resident. Okay, for some reason, I'm not live on my Facebook channel. That sucks. Hold on, guys. I'm going to have to redo this real quick because I got to make sure that this is available for everybody. In the meantime, how are you all? Let's see. Am I chat? Am I on Facebook? If anybody's on Facebook, please holler at your girl. Hold on. I don't see it on Facebook. And that's not good. Let's see. I'm live on LinkedIn. Let me see if I can add Facebook. Maybe what I have to do. Hold on, y'all. Bear with me. Bear with me, sexy people, because we're going to get all the way into it. By the way, speaking of, what's really interesting is that, hold on, bear with me. Let me get this together. I'm trying to make sure that everybody insights are unavailable. Okay. Hold on, let me just tell the people I'm live now. Thank y'all for hanging around because this is something we got to talk about. This is historic. How about that part? As terrible as it is truly historic to have a Black woman make the active shooter list. So you know we got to unpack this whole thing. Okay. So I don't know. For some reason I can't go live on that's why. Shit, wrong thing. Hold on, y'all. I'm doing this all wrong. Wait, delete. I gave him the wrong link. What do you guys think about this? Do you think, come on, I want to see some comments before we get deep into it. There we go. Hold on. I'm just trying to make sure Facebook is good, y'all. Okay. There we are. Watch live now. Okay. I'm about to give y'all my undivided attention and we're going to all the way unpack this. All right. Okay. So I think we good everywhere. All right. Let's talk about it. So first and foremost, when I found out that there was an active shooter in ATL, blew my whole mind. Could not believe what I was hearing because y'all, just like everybody else, I'm sure we've all in there like this is just not something that Black women do. And it is so sad. And so there you go. Somebody said sad and crazy. 1908 Chris says sad and crazy. It is so sad and so awful that people lost their lives today at the hands of a Black woman who has now been identified as a suspect in a multiple shooting in Atlanta. Now, when I first heard about this, I thought, like many of us, was like, something is going on. I don't know what, but what happened? Because it's just not a situation you hear about often at all. Black women just don't, we might cuss, we might fuss, we might throw some stuff, but Black women typically are not going to go into a workplace as disgruntled workers and shoot up the workplace. It's just not something that we do. I knew that there had to be more to the story. So as I was doing some digging and I'm trying to find this video, I hope that, first of all, let me say this. I think it's very important that I get this out of the way and that I say this. I feel absolutely horrible for the people who were impacted by this egregious, awful, terrible. It was murder. Period. It was the worst situation that you could imagine for me, because we've been talking about anger and misplaced frustration with Black women. And now here we have a situation where it feels like she just reached a breaking point. I don't know. I'm just saying, based on the information that I've read, based on the information that she posted on her LinkedIn page. Again, this conversation is not about making excuses for anyone, because murdering people and taking somebody's life and taking somebody's loved one is never okay. But we need to talk about this, and we need to talk about why, or the possibilities of why something like this could happen, because we're seeing it ramp up every single day. I don't know who it is, a rapper, Blueface is his name, I believe. And there's a video of his girlfriend jumping up, socking him in the face. And I just thought to myself, wow, this is exactly what Bishop T.D. Jakes was talking about, right? This is exactly it. Hello, marvelous one. It's exactly what T.D. Jakes is talking about. And to hear that a black woman, and then I saw another incident, with violence with a black woman, and to just hear that a black woman went into her former place of employment and killed a bunch of people is just mind blowing. It's like, what happened? Why did she do it? That is the question that we all asked. And I noticed in the comments, I got into my comments. Let me get into my comment section a little bit, because it was some very valid points in the comment section. I don't think anybody is really justifying what this woman did, because we all can agree that it's something that is horrible in their families who have lost people that they love. And whatever your grievances were, trust me, I know about feeling some type of way about being in a lawsuit. And allegedly, I don't know for sure, but allegedly, what they're saying is that this woman was in the middle of a litigation, right? And I can't really pronounce her name, but I'm about to read something that she wrote. Some of y'all might have already saw it, but I'm going to read it here because, baby, listen, when I tell you, and they might have taken it down by now. Okay. So apparently what happened in this situation, and we'll get deep into it. Okay. Okay. Here it is. So her name, and please forgive me if I'm pronouncing her name wrong, because I don't, I think she's a black woman, but I think she's from another country. She sounds like she could be African or something like that. All right. So she said, and the other thing I want to be clear about is, this is all alleged. This is just what we see so far. And somebody made the comment like, well, what is there to talk about if you don't have the content? First of all, we all kind of traumatized. We are all kind of scratching our heads and bugging out like, what the hell just went down? A black woman for the first time made the active shooter list, and was responsible for a mass shooting. And now two people, if anybody has an update on it, which I didn't have a chance to check right before I got on here, but I know that two people have lost their lives. And this is a situation where everybody's losing, period. She's losing, they're losing. But let me give you guys some backstory based on what she said on her LinkedIn. And she posted this 2 days ago. Her name is Rasa Kigney or Kingi, whatever, Kengne. And she said, retaliation and the APD. This is the third video. She said, I was retaliated against by my former employer. I'm not going to name the employers. I'm not going to name these people. If y'all want to know who these people are, then you guys go to her page and you can read the names. But I already got enough heat and stuff that I'm dealing with in litigation, so I don't want nobody to come and saying I said nothing or name nobody. But she said, I retaliated against my former employer because I reported fraud perpetrated by that employer. She said they levered their relationships with the management services and the board members of the condominium that she lived in. So they allegedly got access to her home, to break into her safe and delete evidence that she had, thereby breaking so many laws, right? APD was reluctant, providing this is alleged. We don't know for sure. Again, this is just what she put on her page. She said, I'll keep you updated on the status, right? So, what was happening is apparently, let me get down here. I'm trying to get to this other video. So, apparently, she was suing these people, and she had been in a lawsuit for a few years. And she had been in this lawsuit because these people, and I'm reluctant to play the video. I do have a video. I'm not even gonna play it because I don't know that I can. If you want to see it, go to her LinkedIn page. Again, the spelling of her name is, hold on, y'all. It is RaissaKengne. And it looks like she was doing a lot of advocating for herself because she was in the middle of a litigation. So, when I found that shit out, I was like, okay, wait a minute, hold up. Is this something that I even want to talk about? Because it is hitting a little bit too close to home. Let me first start by saying that I do believe she snapped. I'm not saying that it is an excuse, but based on the things that I saw, based on the fact that this is out of character for Black women to just go into somebody's office and shoot people up, which is crazy to me, I think she just snapped. Now, there is video footage of her having conversations with individuals, and the people were trying to tell her, ma'am, basically what she was saying is that she wanted to file a criminal complaint, right? She wanted to file a burglary complaint. And she went to the police station several times, I guess, based on, I don't know if it's several times, but I've seen, there are a couple videos. She went to the police station. She told the police that she wanted an update on her case because they burglarized her home. It should be treated as a burglary and not just like, I guess they were doing some kind of check. So it wasn't treated like a flat out burglary. Now, listen, I got my own theories about what happened to my computer, right? Somebody came into my hotel room and stole my computer. And I too am in the middle of a lawsuit. So your head starts to kind of come up with all of these different ideas and all of these different, but the one thing that I can say that I know for sure is that no matter how angry, how furious, how many ideas I have about what happened, the one thing I would never do in a million years is resort to violence. I think the only time you should use violence is if your life depends on it or you're saving someone else's life. If there's a child involved, But that's part of the reason why I was just like, what in my headline, I'm like, what's going on with Black women? Because there's another woman who allegedly cut off a man's whoop whoop because of something he either said or did as it relates to her child. So as we see Black women in the media every single day having what is obviously some form of a mental breakdown, I wanted to talk tonight about, obviously we know that this is a mental health issue. I mean, there's no two ways about it. But, and I ask, when we call this a mental health issue, and this is an opinion in that point, this is us talking, y'all. It's nice with NICCI, but it's a conversation betwixt us. Is it a temporary lapse in judgment, whether or not it is something that was ongoing with her in terms of her mental health? I do not know. But when a person is continuously reaching out for help and trying to figure out where they can get somebody to listen to them and somebody to hear their plight or their story. And it looks like folks was just kind of over it and like, listen, you need to go fill out a form over here. You need to write a letter over there, which I'm sure those officers were just following policy and protocol. At what point do you take a person seriously? Because in the video, there was I don't know who said it, but somebody said something like what's going to happen is just going to happen. You know what I'm saying? Or, it sounded a few ticks away from a boom. And my question is, how, if anything, could have been done? What could have been done, and how could this have been avoided? Mr. Grimes the Pen says it was a buildup and a breakdown that probably pushed her over the edge. I do believe that. Because the lady did not come out. Listen, she was, in terms of her tone and her delivery, if you guys listen, again, I don't want to put the video out there because there's an officer that, I'm not trying to put nobody out there. We don't know the facts. We just kind of talking through it and trying to figure out what the hell we can do to recognize when somebody is at that place. And being somebody who's in a litigation and being somebody who understands, some days I wake up and I definitely think for half a second that I want to choose violence. I think we all do. It's a part of being human. I wake up and I just be like, you know what? I want to just blow that. And okay, let me be careful, because especially after this incident, when I say I want to go in, I mean what I'm doing. Social media, let the truth be told, say what I got to say, zero disregard for somebody worrying about slander and all the other stuff. But people are tired, y'all. And this is not an excuse for what this woman did, but people are tired. And when I found out that this lady did this because she was in the middle of a litigation and she didn't feel heard and she didn't feel like people were taking her seriously, I was like, oh shit, this is hitting really close to home. When I look at Sophia Stewart and I look at how long she's been advocating for what you do not know the toll. Again, this is not about excuses. I feel like I have to say this over and over again. If somebody has a different opinion and you want to be a part of this conversation, just holler at your girl, let me know, and I will surely send you a link. However, my opinion of it is we don't know when people will flip out. We don't know when people will feel like enough is enough. And today in Atlanta, a Black woman made history in the worst possible way by being an active shooter. Now, again, we don't know the logistics, we don't know the details. But I ask y'all, I'm going to put a question out there. And I want to see if anybody is brave enough to really tackle it or attack it. Is there, on any level, a possibility in your mind, and this is going to sound crazy to say it, but I'm saying this based on some of the comments, that you believe that people snapping deserve grace or consideration? I'll wait. I'm going to rephrase the question again. Do you think that there is a situation? Let's talk about what we're talking about. In this situation where this woman was in this lawsuit and she just broke and she just snapped, and this is clearly a mental health issue. Do y'all think that that's going to weigh in her trial? Do you think that it's going to, do you think she's going to get a sympathy vote from people because she is a Black woman and Black women don't do this? Do you think she deserves a sympathy vote? Somebody says, when are Black women seen as serious? No doubt that she was wrong. I feel you. And then someone else says, yes, and there's a reason why. We're listening. House Grimes, the pen. I'm listening. I want to hear what you got to say. Anybody on YouTube, anybody on Facebook, anybody on Twitter want to tackle this? Is there ever, not necessarily is there ever, because there's never an excuse to take somebody's life. I just don't believe that. But is this a wake-up call for us? Is this a moment where we say, people are tired? Because it's the weirdest shit in the world. It is the craziest thing. Okay, here we go. Here go some comments. They do, but that's such a gray area because as a therapist, folks that are in their right mind at the time will use this as an excuse. Yep. I agree. I have to say, got to be careful about temporary insanity because isn't that something that people always say, like, oh, please, temporary insanity and you get off. But with the amount of, and I'm not going to call this evidence, I'm just going to say stuff that she had been saying in social media and posting before this event, the videos that she posted where because it felt to me, because these videos look like they were posted just from a few days ago. She's been in this lawsuit since 2021. So it felt to me like she was like going to the police station, like, listen, I'm telling y'all, somebody burglarized my house and somebody took some stuff that I need for this case. She mentioned that it was negatively impacting her family. Poor decision, awful decision, worst decision ever. But does any of that weigh into her reasoning or the possibility of her pleading temporary insanity? I'm going to say it again. Wrong is two left shoes. You don't take anybody's life. Trust me, I get how angry, I get how infuriated, I get how tired, I get how unprotected we feel. I get how you feel like you're trying to lean into law enforcement and like, y'all, somebody listen to me. I'm telling you this happened. But I'm just trying to understand it. I think we're all trying to understand it. And I love the dialogue that we're having about it because even if, which in all likelihood, we don't have enough information to really come up with a reasonable explanation for why some shit like this would happen, it does help to talk it through. And that's what I want to do with my people tonight. She said she probably felt her own life was in danger. Someone says, Miss J says, I feel like people start to use this as a crutch. What else? Here, what else we got going on here? What other comments? We don't understand what someone could be going through in life. Temporary insanity is real. They could be suffering with loss, and she probably felt that she was being violated. It's not okay. I feel like I'm being violated too, but I'm not going into anybody's place of employment to hurt nobody like that. I mean, but again, we don't know the details. She said that it was a very powerful company, and she said that she was kind of a whistleblower of sorts. And again, I said this on a live a couple days ago, and I want to get into this a little bit too. You never know a person's ability to tolerate bullshit. Like, people just assume that you're always, I get it. Listen, we would all like to have the spirit, embody the spirit of Michelle Obama. And we will all like to go high when people go low. But take it from me. Every single day I wake up in my life, and I'm not trying to make this woman's story about me, but because she allegedly killed 2 people, maybe more. Hope we were praying for the person who's in the hospital. But because she did this because of a lawsuit, I hope that this, if anything, makes it clear to people that we're all fighting these horrible battles internally, and you're holding it in. And this is part of the reason why I get on here and I talk to you guys about the P Valley situation. I talk to you guys about the R&B Diva situation. I talk to you guys about when I lost my sister. I talk to you guys about it because, she's not even a high profile celebrity. Well, she is today. And I'm not being funny, but she dead ass made herself very popular today for all the wrong reasons. But I know what it feels like to just feel like the world is closing in on you. And I know in my mind, I think every single day, y'all, I'm not even gonna hold y'all up. Every day for the last 2 years, I think about, well, what happens if, you know, they decide, oh, we're gonna throw this out. What happens if after you spend all this time, after you spend all this money, when my computer was stolen, I wanted to be somebody's ass. Like, I didn't want to hurt nobody. I didn't want to end nobody's life. But I was like, if I saw somebody with my computer in their hand, I would be scrapping. But thank God, I didn't, my emotional intelligence kicked in. My prayer kicked in. I prayed, I prayed, I prayed. Thank God my sisters were there. Thank God my sorors were there. Everybody's like, look, there's something bigger than this. And I had to process it. And that is a big part of this conversation I want to have tonight. Mental illness is at an all-time high. Feeling like you are not being heard and you are struggling mentally, financially, emotionally, spiritually, will lead you to make some of the worst decisions in your life. So again, that is the reason, people, why she talking about this again? She talking about this lawsuit again. You have no idea what fighting. Allegedly, she was fighting a very wealthy, powerful company. We won't know. And trust me, I'm following every step of this. I'm following the trial. I want to know information. I want to know. We have never seen this before. I don't think. I mean, maybe it's happened in the past. I don't know. But this is the first time I've heard of a Black woman going into a workplace and snapping the entire fuck out. And people don't understand the pressures, the manipulation, the sneaky little, underhanded ways that they use power and influence. Again, I'm not making excuses for this woman's behavior. I'm talking from my own personal experience. And I said on my live before, not everybody has the ability to take the high road. Not everybody has the ability to say, oh, well, I'm just going to go on ahead and just wait for the judicial system to play out and see if I win. Right? And when you see people who so often don't win, at some point you make a decision. And unfortunately, this woman made the wrong one. And she was talking about it a lot on her social media. Like, I'm reading the social media and I'm looking at some of the stuff that she's saying. And I'm just like, oh my God, like, this lady was advocating for herself. Not very different than how I advocate for myself. And you could see allegedly, again, this is all alleged, but you could see the buildup. You could see the frustration. And when she went into the police station and she said, "Hey, listen," and I guess what she was trying to say is someone went into her safe and took out some evidence for her case. And those people were allowed, allegedly, to go into her apartment because they had a key. Because someone from, I guess, this board or whatever, allegedly, alleged, this is all alleged, allow her to go in. Now, I don't know. At the end of the day, this lady could have been dealing with mental health issues her whole life. This lady could be delusional as hell, or she could have just, I mean, on her LinkedIn page, she just looked like a normal, regular person I would follow on LinkedIn. In fact, if I knew about her advocacy and her fight and the fact that she was in court, I would have absolutely been following this lady because I think it's important for us to support each other when we're going through shit like this. I would have definitely, just like I support Nene, just like I supported Monique, just like I advocated and supported Khalees. And the reason I do that is because nobody knows how difficult this shit is unless you are in it. And I've been in major litigations a few times. In the midst of those things, losing people I love very much. Still no excuse for taking somebody else's life. Let me see what y'all talking about over here. Um, there's an attorney on here now. She may go live with you. Stacey, I would like for you to go live with me too. If she wants to go live, let me know. I read her LinkedIn post. We have details. Let me know if you want to go live. I read her LinkedIn post. Her home was burglarized, allegedly. They said her home was burglarized. The police refused to investigate the burglary, allegedly. I mean, the police, what was happening in the video is she was asking the cop. Now let not and see this is where this shit gets crazy because the other thing we got to be careful of is she was talking to a black female cop. She was talking to a black female at the precinct. So I'm not going to put any negative information out there about any black woman in this situation except for and matter of fact, we can't even put no negative information out there about her because again, this is all alleged. We don't know what these details are until this shit plays out in court. But please believe I'll be following all of it because I'm in a litigation. And if it really is what it is, I can relate on a whole different level to the brokenness that she felt. I can't relate to how she reacted. That's another thing. I always talk about being proactive versus reactive. But then there's the question of whether or not she was being proactive because, again, this lady obviously felt like she didn't have any other recourse. And that is the shit I want to get into. Jeez, so deep. Take no consideration she's from another take into consideration she's from another country. Different cultures handle things differently. It's tough to watch this. Yeah, but she lives in the United States of America, and I don't care who you are. You know that you can't just go taking somebody's life because they did something that you don't like. But again, until we have more details, can't completely judge this woman. And I think that's a very important thing for us to take away from this. I think so often we read the headlines and we don't read the story, to borrow from my girl Christine Beatty, who says it all the time. And when you're reading the headline and you're not reading the story, then you get the salacious, if was a fifth, we'd all be drunk version of it versus the facts. And these days you have to even question the facts because, you know, you just, I was about to say something. I took it back in my mind before it came out my mouth. Her back was against the wall, just like the movie John Q. See, that's what I wanted to find out what y'all was thinking. YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, what y'all doing? I don't see y'all in on this conversation. What y'all scared? Tell me you're scared. What's going on? I want to hear what y'all got to say. My Instagram is on fire with it. Yeah, I thought about John Q as well. I did. And I was like, damn, does this mean that she's going, oh, y'all, this is so hard. It is so hard. Because one side of me is like, sis, I get it. And then the other side of me is like, lady, you are absolutely insane. You do not walk into anybody's place of employment and take people's lives. You have ruined families forever because you didn't have the ability to process what was happening to you. That is the big question. Mental health and how far we have gone into this dark, awful abyss of mental illness. And people are struggling so bad every single day. And folks are laughing. It's like Carrie. Y'all remember that scene in Carrie? I ain't trying to be funny. They're all gonna laugh at you. They're all gonna laugh at you. That shit. When they dumped that pig's blood on her, somebody might have just been like, oh, it's just pig's blood. Go take a shower. She flipped the fuck out. I know it sounds crazy, but she flipped out. And she flipped out because she did not have the capacity to process being tormented and laughed at and ridiculed. Let me get to some more of these comments because y'all smart as hell. I think part of the bigger conversation, I think it's part of a bigger conversation, but we are people of color seen as simply human. Yes, we are strong, beautiful, and intelligent, but we have a level of fragility that is ignored most of the time. You're absolutely right. And Black women in particular, our fragility is ignored all the time because you guys, we carry so much. And that's the thing that really made me feel bad for her. Because you have no idea. You have no idea how difficult it is on your family, on your children, on your you have no idea how difficult it is to take a major, large corporation to task. If in fact that's what she was doing, I'm speaking for myself right now. I'm not speaking for this lady. Because again, I do not excuse the heinous act that she committed today. I don't. And I'm going through the shit. And I don't condone it. But when you hear Monique and when you Tamar, I hate to bring you into this, sis, but you know, when Black women speak up about injustice in our life, when we speak up about things that are breaking us down and making us, it's like we carry the shit so well because we got to put on our makeup, we got to go in, we got to do our job. We stop working, the shit just fall apart. We ain't cooking, there ain't nobody eating. You understand what I'm saying? If we don't cook, nobody's eating. And we're starving. We're starving emotionally. We're starving spiritually. We're starving mentally. And all we get on a regular basis is motherfuckers getting in the media talking about how we want to be men and we loud and we angry. And then we have to compete against others in our Black women group who are exactly what those people are calling all of us as a collective. Because the girl who punched her boyfriend in the face and she done got her teeth knocked out and he done pulled the braids out and like all of this stuff that's happening in the women that are just like, I'm gonna fight this dude and all that. There are women out there who are absolutely exactly what a lot of these people are saying we are. But there's so many of us that are just trying to make a living. So many of us that are just trying to have a better life for our family and for our loved ones. And when we are in a situation where we feel like we have taken all that we can take and we can't take no more, if you don't have God in your life, if you don't have some form of release and self-care, then you will end up in a situation like this woman is in now or worse. And the reason why I'm so concerned about how this will impact Black women in general is because it's almost like this is what they've been waiting for. Right? We see all these narratives. We see all these angry ass women in the media. We see all the fighting and the flip. Like I was looking at the Zeus promo for one of these Zeus shows with the girl from Bad Girls Club, right? And it literally made my stomach, I felt knots in my stomach. And I felt knots in my stomach because I was like, damn, it's like every time we look up, there is this image of us, bitch, I'll beat your motherfucking, and just fighting and just stupid, right? So when we are faced with a situation where a Black woman commits a heinous, awful, god-awful, violent act like the one that was committed today, we don't do nothing but double down on what TD Jakes said. We double down on what white people and a lot of other people, some, not all, think about us already. Those of us who've been fighting the fight and trying to change the narrative start to feel like we can't win for losing. So when some shit like this goes down, when a black woman out and goes and does something that we have never heard or seen before, we got to talk about it. We have to unpack it. We have to express the angst. Got to ask the questions. Got to have the dialogue. Because nobody else is doing that shit for us. No, nobody. They just want to make this a major headline, and major news networks want to talk about it. They're going to get their ratings, folks. But tonight, here, today, I want to talk about what we can do to amplify the message that if you are having a complete mental breakdown, like in the case of the woman who killed the people in Atlanta today, that it's okay to seek help. What is it? I understand she was in the police office. I understand she felt like these people weren't listening to her. I understand she maybe felt her life was in danger because people were breaking in her home. And we're going to get all those logistics and we're going to get all that information when she goes to court. But what is it that we can learn from this situation about who is calling me? What is it that we can learn from this situation about mental illness, mental health, mental wellness, taking care of ourselves? Okay. One fun girl says, I have been through a very long. Okay, wait, there was one before that. Let me go before that. I'm praying for those who lost someone. I pray for her family as well. Her back was against the wall like the movie John Q. Just Donnie says, I think a part of the bigger conversation, people of color. Okay, we've read that one. One fun girl says, I have been through a very long and difficult lawsuit, and there's times when I felt hopeless and I was broke as hell. However, I still had to maintain composure and I prevailed. Good. That's right. Because in the end, like, it's like that's the thing that keeps me going. And I'm telling y'all, it's plenty of times where I have wanted to just, like I said before, snap all the way out. John Q. But what I think about is the judicial system is in place for a reason. And even though it might have appeared to this woman that all hope was lost and that she didn't have, any other recourse or way to resolve this but to do what she did today, um, it would have been so much more powerful and I believe effective and impactful for other people who are going through it if she just fought harder to win in court. But again, everybody has a capacity to deal with shit, and you cannot point the finger at somebody and judge them if you do not know their story. Being from another country doesn't make it right. No, it doesn't. I don't think that's what he was saying. Mental illness is so serious. There are many places to seek help. No, they're not actually. So let's talk about that real quick. People assume and people think that you can just run down the street and get great mental health and find a great mental health counselor. That's not how it works, you guys. First of all, the government controls the governor in each state controls our access to mental health, how much is made available. I've had this conversation many a times when we talk about Maia Campbell and the struggles Maia Campbell has been going through, right? Mentally. We talk about all these places that are supposed to be there to make things better for people. And those places are not doing that at all. Those places are, if anything, well, let me not say that. See, I got to be careful how I say things. Access to mental health care is limited for people of color, period. And when they say that there is access, it's a question of what kind of access you have. What access to what kind of services? We look at Black women in maternity and the maternal health crisis that's going on right now. We look at Black people just overall with their physical health. And those are things that are considered priorities because these big companies make a whole lot of money off of, medicine. Mental health is something that has been left untreated by so many people because the access to resources is very limited. And the access to resources of mental health are very limited because a lot of states are just not prioritizing it the way that they should. I'm not about to get into a political conversation. I'm going to leave that for my girl, Christine. But it's just not as easy as running down the street, going to see a doctor about your mental health issues. And the other thing is when somebody snaps, I think it all kind of just comes crashing down. I wish there's a mental health expert on here that we could ask, but let me know if you know. When somebody snaps, is there something that's been happening all along and they just snap one day? Or is it just something that comes out of the blue and they just snap one day? I don't know, right? As many times as I've wanted to snap, I haven't quite done it. But I would love to hear from an expert. Is it just one of them things where you just like one day you just walking and somebody say the wrong thing and you just like, or is it like you doing stuff all along that's got people kind of like, what's going on with NICCI or what's going on with this person? And it's just left untreated or undiagnosed. And then is it possible? And this is a question for a mental health expert or somebody who has some experience in this dialogue. Is it possible that she was good and then something happened and it just was a wrap? Not at all. I said to say people handle things differently. Okay. Let's see. Thank you so much. It is a filter, Oliver Tweaks. Do you know I have to do this thing? And I, of course, have some good lighting as well. You know, we'd be over here trying to make it happen. It had to be a hell of a lot of stuff that she was going through, and we don't know how long. They could have been antagonizing her, threatening her. We don't know that information. Okay, so let's talk about this real quick. Because for real, I'm about to make a comparison that's probably going to get my ass dragged, but I'm a big girl. I'm 52. I can handle it. We get to talking about, let me put on my lip gloss though first. So my lip gloss can be popping when I say it. My lip glass. Okay. So somebody said, we don't know what she was going through. Hold on, well, let me say exactly what it was. Hassan, you'll go live? Okay, cool. Perfect. I'll bring you all here. Someone said I've had a hell of a lot of stuff it had to be a hell of a lot of stuff she was going through and we don't know how long. They could have been antagonizing her, threatening her. We don't know what the information. So listen, Nene Leaks, who bravo, from what I've heard, I don't know for sure, but you know that is over for now. Her lawsuit. Don't know the details, so she ain't. If I ain't heard it from Lanithia, then I'm not gonna chat about it. But I will say that when she talked about how people were following her, when she talked about how people were antagonizing her, when she talked about how people were just being really shady and disrespectful towards her, she got clowned. When I talked about the fact that this is happening to me with this lawsuit, anytime a woman, Monique, same thing. There is this idea that you should express yourself and you should say what you're going through and you should speak what you seek until you see what you said. And then everything will be fine. But then when you do that shit and people treat you like shit and you see that happening to people in the press, right? We don't know. I know there are plenty of people who have reached out to me that are in lawsuits, and I don't really offer them advice because I don't want to get in trouble for offering nobody advice on a lawsuit because I'm not a lawyer. I can refer them to a damn good lawyer. But we don't know what people saw celebrities going through this shit. That's the reason why it's so important for you guys to understand how it impacts the average person when they see high profile celebrities going through litigations and lawsuits and getting clowned and treated like shit by their own people. So we get on here and we say, oh, it's so terrible. And oh, that's terrible. And if she only talked and if she only expressed and if she only said and if she only shared, then maybe this tragedy wouldn't have occurred. But when you see people sharing and expressing and saying how they feel and hoping, okay, here go my people. I see y'all here. And hoping that someone will hear them and someone supports them. And then she goes to the police and she goes to this place and she goes to that place. And she feels allegedly like she's not getting respect or she's not getting acknowledgement from people. That shit right there can make you snap. Hold on. Her LinkedIn page is wild. Yeah, I told y'all her LinkedIn page is wild. Let me find this. Hold on. Let me find this video. I'm not going to show this officer's face, but I'm going to play this and then I'm going to bring on a couple people who, whoa, I can swallow it. Sorry, guys. I'm going to play this so you guys can hear it if you haven't heard it. And then I'm going to bring on a couple of people who have said that they want to be a part of this. So just take a listen. I'm going to play a little bit of it. All right.
First, it didn't have any forced entry.
This is her talking to the police.
Yes, go ahead. Just making that point. You spoke. Yes. All right. So
This is the officer speaking.
it says there was no forced entry. All right. All right. No signs, no visible sign of forced entry. You have the report. You read it, right? It said no visible sign of forced entry. Now, whatever. Go ahead, please. Go ahead. Thank you, ma'am. All right. So you saying that it needs right now? It's not showing as burglary, and you're saying, and you let me talk. No, I thought it was a question. Go ahead. It's not showing as burglary. Okay. And you're saying it needs to be changed as burglary. But if we don't see any forced entry, we cannot change it as burglary. Okay. I reported a crime. I reported a crime. Okay, yes. Man, listen. Yes. All right.
This is her talking to the police.
It should be a burglary. And you have the information, the video, whatever you told me that you have that could convince this officer that this was a burglary. I don't see no problem in her changing it so they could investigate it. All right?
So,
all right. Yes. There is no problem with that. Go ahead.
So this is a long exchange. I'm not gonna play the whole exchange. I'm gonna bring a couple people who said they wanted to go live on here, but paraphrasing, she went into the police station. She asked for help. She said that it was a burglary. They're not taking it seriously. She wants to report it as a burglary because her evidence for her case was stolen. She's like, they came into my apartment. They went into my safe. They're saying it wasn't forced entry because they had a key card or whatever to go into the apartment. Now, allegedly, they took something out of the safe. We don't know. But I don't understand why, if she says she was burglarized, there wasn't a report that was done, even if they didn't see forced entry, which we don't know the details. We don't know. We have no idea. Was it a roommate that gave him? I don't know. We don't know. And because we don't know, it's jacked up. Okay, so Oliver Twix said, I have an inside source that explained to me what happened, and you're not far off. Thank you. That is good to know. Okay, let me get you in here, please. Hold on. View request. Let's see who's in here. Boom. I think I just approved the request. Except, y'all, I'm not. What? There we go.
Hey, Nick, how are you?
Hey, how are you? How are you? Welcome, 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 welcome. Tell us what your opinion of this situation is. I'm very, very curious. You've been giving us a lot of feedback and commentary, and I really appreciate it.
Not a problem. I'm happy to be able to listen to join in too as well. But mental health is real. It started with COVID when a lot of people lost loved ones. They lost jobs, they lost income, they lost a lot, right? So, allegedly, we don't know what this lady been through. She could have been harassed at this workplace. And when I was speaking of her being from a different country, we here we handle things a little bit different. We might be the victims of something, and our duty is to go to the law enforcement, right? She could be from a place where, she could seek law enforcement, and then if it doesn't work, she take matters in her own hand. It's not justified at all. And I definitely pray for those that
I'm here for it.
I'm sorry about that.
Because she lost loved ones, and the victims meaning, and then her family's going to have to pay for legal fees and all that. So everybody's at loss, and this lady's going to lose probably the rest of her life because of her feeling victimized.
I agree. I have to say, I honestly, it's unfortunate, but what would make a person throw their whole life away is the thing that I'm still, struggling with and wrestling with. What would make a person decide that instead of going to court, because then you say to yourself, all right, you done lost your money, somebody's coming and they've stolen something from you. You're going to now lose your freedom. Like you're talking about how difficult it was on your family, but now you've made it way more difficult on your family because you've now made a decision to take two people's lives because you were reacting to something, right? So I don't want to negate mental illness or the mental struggle that she was going through. And like you said, we've all been going through hell during COVID, but it's still not an excuse. And it just is, we stuck between a rock and a hard place because as much as we want to support this woman, as much as we want to show love, well, I don't know, we want to show love to someone who killed somebody, but as much as we feel like we can relate to that break, it was
Right.
wrong.
Absolutely, because I mean that's the breaking point. We don't know. Everybody has their breaking point in life, right? We don't know what ours is until we're actually pushed to that point. You know, especially if we've never been there before. But if she took the necessary steps, she probably assumed like I got to do something that's going to protect myself. You know, and that's it's sad because, like you said, it's you know we don't want to. It's not justified at all. Like I never want someone to think that, like you said earlier, unless it's like protecting your loved ones, your children, or yourself, that's the only way that I think that that type of force should be pressed upon. But if it's not, you know, it's a job.
Right.
I wonder how they got inside of her place, got inside her safe.
Yeah, that's the thing. And like I said, you got a lot of people who going through litigation say they being followed. They saying certain stuff is happening because I want to know how they went in there and took my computer out too.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm saying they. I'm not saying anybody specifically. I'm just saying my computer was taken. I want it to be clear.
Of course.
I'm not insinuating shit. Let me see who else might want to join. Let's get another female perspective. I just sent another invitation. Let's see, accept. And let's see. See who else might join in on this dialogue. So, what are your thoughts on, you know, I guess mental health in our community
Well,
and where things are?
one of the comments that I was making earlier in regards to mental health is real because a lot of people have been suffering lately. You know what I mean? As the things I spoke about earlier, the loss. She could have lost somebody. She could have lost somebody during COVID. She could have lost a loved one. She could have lost her job. Whatever it may have been, she lost. A lot of people lost during COVID, and their reaction to things are not the norm. Wait, let's not take somebody say it's not that easy to get into a therapist, and that's true. You have to wait sometimes 90, 60, or 60, 90, maybe 120 days just to have somebody to talk to get help.
And that's why you got to vote in these elections.
Absolutely. Voting is important. Voting is important. It's very much important. But if you don't have insurance, some of these people can't afford to pay $150 up to $300 per hour just to talk about the things that they're suffering with and dealing with. That's the point right there. Like you can go bankrupt just trying to get help. That's not fair. That's not fair at all.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And tell me your name so I can pronounce it. Is it Hassan? Okay, I thought it was short. So y'all listen, tonight is a big night. Tonight is a big night. Hold on. Let me pour me a little something. Because listen here, y'all. When I tell y'all this person that's on my live with us this evening, well, of course, Hassan, you've been amazing, but Kimberly Latrice, Mother Jones, I'm gonna give you the flow to tell us what you think this whole situation is all about.
Sis,
Alleged.
Wild day down here on Peachtree. Let me tell you. So where this incident happened is about a few doors down from my office, and we received an email from the office building that said the building is being locked down due to an active shooter, and it gave the address. So they and in my panic, I didn't see that they gave the address. I didn't see that they gave the address saying that it was a few doors down. All I read was the building is being locked down because of an active shooter.
Jesus.
And it just so happened a business associate of mine was here, and his mother knew where he was at, that he was on 14th and Peachtree, where my office is and where this incident took place. And he was getting text messages from his mother saying, there's an active shooter where you just said you were going. So at some point, when they were unaware of where she was, before she had jumped the train and made it all the way to the airport, they were unaware of where she is. So they locked down our whole block because they didn't know if she had come into one of these buildings or what was going on. So in the interim, me and my business associate are sitting in the building, and we're like under the impression that she could be in this building where we are. And so once we started, going online and getting more information and realizing that it wasn't physically in this building, but they also didn't know where she was at the moment, and that the block was locked down because she could be in this building. She could have been, as far as they knew, in any building on the block. And then later they realized there's a train station
on the corner. So when they were looking for her, she had already jumped on the subway and was headed to the airport.
Wow.
And
Wow.
Yeah. So for a while, I was.
Thank God. First of all, thank God you are okay. Because that was real close to the crib. Wow. To what?
I'm sitting in my office right now. I'm looking at the building from my window.
That is bananas.
Like, I'm looking at the building from my window. And so to me, first of all, it was jarring and scary because receiving the information quickly and not paying attention to the address and thinking it's here. Me and my partner, we sitting here like, well, maybe we move some desk or, trying to figure out, what the next move is. First of all, it's unfortunate that in this country, at the time that we're living in right now, my first response now is like, I'm sitting here now talking to one of my staff members, and it's like, okay, I need to get mass shooter training here in the building.
Oh my God. Is that freaking you out that it is a black woman shooting up a place that has now caused you to say, hey, wait a minute, I need to get mass shooter training? Is that it? I mean, what, how do you unpack, how do you unpack that? How do you say, wow, a black woman came into a building across from me, shot the place up, killed two people from what I understand so far, and God bless their families and anybody else who is injured. But how does that, how do you are an advocate. This is what you do, Kimberly. What's in your head?
Well, there's multiple things, especially now that I've had a few hours to sit here and like kind of unpack it with myself. My first thought is, and this is purely out of ignorance. I'm sure that maybe it doesn't exist, and I just don't know who the person is. But I'm unaware of another black woman who was a mass shooter. Again, I'm speaking from ignorance. I'm not sure. This is the first one that I've been alert of, I've been aware of. It would take me doing some research to see if there were previous women. But in thinking that, like, I'm low-key surprised this is the first one, especially because we continually submit this narrative of the angry black woman, of the out of control black woman, of the not in check black woman is the false narrative that's completed. And I said, and I find it funny in a place in which violence has been the rule, that this is the first time I'm actually aware of this from a black woman. And this is not to celebrate anything in this situation, because this situation is tragic, and my heart breaks for the families who lost loved ones. And I know that my cortisol level definitely shot up today.
For sure.
That impacted on me being that close to it. But it speaks to the tenacity of black women, despite what they have been through, that this is the first time I'm hearing this.
That's deep. Wow.
The other thing, especially being here in Atlanta right now, which again, this reiterates something that I have found disturbing over the last couple weeks, is we really have to start to begin to understand that all politics are local.
Absolutely. Wow.
A good friend of mine, Scotty Smart, said to me the other day, when people started talking to him about stuff at the federal level, that he knows they're not really invested in their communities. Because we learned this from Reagan. There's no such thing as the trickle-down effect. Politics is not coming from the top down. It's coming from the ground up. Laws that we have watched happen over the past year that we may agree or disagree with, the rumblings of them, the work to get them passed, the movements centered around them have been local. It has been local groups going to city council meetings, going to school board meetings, understanding the power in their local. I tell people all the time in Atlanta, if you want to know how serious local affects you, if you stand on the corner of Moreland and Memorial here in Atlanta, if you stand Fulton side with the user's amount of marijuana, you get a $50 citation. If you walk 4 steps across the street and you're in the cab for that same amount, you're going to jail.
What?
Because marijuana is decriminalized in Fulton County. It is not decriminalized.
Yep, I heard that. Yep.
What?
4 steps will determine the difference between a citation and a sentence. So that tells you how much your local government impacts you and how it's thoroughly connected to this moment that we're in right now. One of my favorite on-the-ground grassroots activists here, Devin Barrington, has been fighting for 4 months
No, actually longer than that. He's been fighting for much longer than that, for a while now, to close the jail ACDC here and to turn it into the John Lewis Wellness Center. Because when we closed Mission down on Pine Street, and we gave and that mission had hundreds of beds for the unhoused, and we closed that without a plan, without a place. And then we had ACDC that was in bad condition. He worked with John Lewis's family that said it could be called the John Lewis Health Facility. Their rule was none of it can be correctional. If it's going to be have John's name on it, none of it. It'll have to be fully wellness. So Devin has been down there for some time fighting to get that change. And all he was asking people to do was come sit at city council meetings so that when he stood up for public comment, he was showing city council that the people of this city had his back, that this is what people wanted, and that this is what needed to be done. You asked me what happened last week down at city council.
What happened last week down at city council?
Not only did it not become the John Lewis Wellness Center, they gave a contract to Sheriff Labatt for 4 years to allow it to be a prison again. For 4 more years. The original language that was said that it was going to be a prison for 4 more years, and then after that the contract would not be renewable, and that they would have to turn it into something else. But instead, now that contract has been made renewable, and now they're saying they're using it for overflow from the other prisons, and they came at it from a humanitarian aspect of the jails are overcrowded, people are sleeping on floors. Y'all should not want people sleeping on floors. They'll be able to use this as overflow and get people off of floors, and they're correct. I don't want people sleeping on the floors, but since we have a broken bail system, which means a multitude of those prisoners are in there for non-violent crimes in which they should be able to signature bond themselves out, and they are not. If you want to clear up the prison system, I don't need another jail. What I need is for those bondable people to be able to be bonded out and go home. Woo!
Those are the people. That's something that people use it for medical reasons or whatever it may be. But I've never heard somebody overdose over marijuana or even kill somebody because of marijuana, meaning like after using it. So it's terrible. You know, Georgia, like PA, just here in Philly, they just changed the law, so it's become legal here. So that's going to let a lot of people out of jail. You know that.
Yeah, that gets under my skin so bad. Oh Lord Jesus, that gets under my skin. I want to see. So what do we do? What are some steps that we can take? Because Kimberly, I know you're on the ground. Hasim, I don't know if you're actively involved in that space, but it sounds like you know what the hell you're talking about as well in there. What do we do? How can we address the issue with mental illness? How do we address the issue with these laws and these extra prisons being built and not being able to get people back? That blows my mind. When I found out how many Black people are stuck in jail because they don't have bond. And when you said that, I thought about that, Kimberly. I was like, but instead of making more room for more hardened criminals, why not take the ones that are waiting for bond, these young boys who committed, a first time offense? Like, why not start cleaning up the prison system? Can y'all explain to me why that doesn't happen? Because I don't know. It seems like it makes too much sense to do it that way.
It's the business.
Oh.
Ladies first. Go ahead. You go first. Ladies first.
No, he's right though. Prison is a business. The other thing is we tell people to vote, we tell people to hold politicians accountable, but we don't actually teach them how. First of all, they don't teach civics in school. So we think that they're supposed to magically know how to fight the system, how to be impactful. You got to keep in mind, during the same time in which we were fighting ACDC and trying to get that, during that time, they put together a nuisance law that was going to have a very bad effect on the nightlife scene here in Atlanta. The nightlife people, I'm talking about DJs, and these are dudes I know from the hood. You know what I'm saying? The nightlife people, DJs, promoters, club owners, all of them got together and formed themselves a coalition.
Killer Mike, and they came down to that city council meeting so thick. I go to city council meetings all the time, and I've never seen. Mina needs to join on this live. Lord, Mina on the ground, because she's the one.
Where is she? Is she here?
Yes, she is. Mina on the ground.
Mina on the ground. Come on, Mina. Where you at?
Mina, go live with us. They came down there so thick. I go to city council meetings all the time. I've never seen them use the overflow room. They use the overflow room. So, and she's yelling, the bill has been filed. And so they came down there so thick that there was so much pressure, and they understood that they were being watched, that the bill went back to committee. Now, when a bill goes back to committee, multiple things usually happen, but the bill rarely comes back as it was. A lot of times when bills go to committee, they die in committee and never come back to the floor. Or when they do come back, they come back with huge strokes of amendments based on why they were returned to committee. That bill went to committee because of just the show up.
Mina,
You said the bill got filed. What bill got filed? The nuisance one. We filed it today.
So Mina, can you explain to us, for those of I know Kimberly knows. Can you tell her? You said we file it. Can you tell us who you are, what you do, and what that means?
I work for Councilmember Lewis. I'm his policy director. He represents the south side of the city, so Cleveland Avenue, Metropolitan, Sylvan Road, the real poor side that people tend to forget about when speaking about Atlanta. So specifically today in public safety, the bill had come back from full council, and it was sent back to committee. So it's on held, and basically they took it off held and they filed the bill, killing it, meaning that it will not come back. Now I got my own beef with public safety about what they did to our legislation, but besides the point. For backstory, we presented legislation to basically say, to go to the state and say we should stop prosecuting young black men for their rap lyrics and what they rap about, because you would never prosecute Johnny Depp for what he did in
Speak on it.
You would never, Alec Baldwin has a case open about how he shot and killed somebody, but you're not using his Gambino movie, but you will use young black men's rap lyrics. Anyways, the representative from Buckhead, old white lady, motioned to hold it and filed the legislation, but we did get a win today about that nuisance, and it only happened because so many people showed up. And congratulations.
I saw a clip of Killer Mike, and that's the thing. So you said it only happened because so many people showed up. How do we get people to show up?
One of the things that I would say is just because a celebrity shows up, you just can't show up on that day. You gotta show up when Killer Mike isn't up there, when T.I. doesn't pop in, when 2 Chainz isn't sitting in the committee meeting. You have to come every single day, because I'm telling you, they are passing legislation. They are getting money to people. I mean, we vote on $50 to $100 million contracts every day.
What?
Every day.
What?
But it starts with voting too. That's what it really starts at. Getting the right people in office. It starts with that. And we have some good people in office. Like right now, right? This whole jail situation happened in the city of Atlanta. And we were talking about policing out the jail, and if you tell somebody that's in jail, do you want a bed or do you want to get out? We all know what they're gonna say.
Right.
So this whole thing happened, but since Killer Mike wasn't talking about it, since 2 Chainz didn't show up, the only people that showed up were the people who had been fighting that fight since 2017. Right? So it's more than, and it's about holding your elected officials accountable. Absolutely. I know what my council member is going to do. I know my council member is going to vote no. I know what he's going to do, but there are other people who represent the blackest parts of the city, the poorest parts of the city, who voted to lock more black people up in order to create revenue for the city of Atlanta. Yeah. There was someone who literally said when the bill passed about DC that Atlanta needs to be in the prison business because we're in the policing business. A city councilman.
Wow.
Civil rights leader. Yeah, and people just voting for him because of his name, not because of what he does. And I think that one of the things that we have to recognize is that people always tell us vote, 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 vote. I always say is your vote is the ticket to the party. It's not the party.
Mm. That's true. So explain that. Unpack that. What does that mean?
So that means that you have to come to city council meetings. You have to show up on these things that you don't agree with, and then you have to get petitions signed. You understand when she's saying that the bill got filed? Just like I was saying when I was on the call, when the bill goes back to committee, that's usually where it goes to die. And then you end up getting a bill filed. So you're telling me from them showing up to one city council meeting that thick, they got it filed. They pass these things in the dark when they think we're not paying attention, because we're not paying attention. Because we're watching the news, we're watching CNN, and we're worried about federal elections where, I'm going to be honest with you, it doesn't really matter, because when it comes to the federal elections, baby, regular people vote and rich people lobby. So that's not where your power lies. And if only we can get more people to lobby. Been yelling and screaming that for the past 7 years. I work as a lobbyist at the state, right? When I work as a lobbyist, I barely see anyone else other.
Wow.
Yeah, because we have to learn how to grassroots lobby. And if anyone wants to know how to grassroots lobby, go to my page. I have a video pinned at the top of my page. I'm wearing a yellow dress with flowers in it. Watch that video. In 3 minutes, I tell you how to form your own lobbying group. In 3 minutes, I tell you how to form your own lobbying group.
I'm about to put your information in here right now.
At the end of the day, what you have to recognize is your power is local, and it does the vote is just the ticket. And I tell people all the time, even if you don't believe in voting, you need to get people to register to vote anyway, because they pull the jury rolls from the voter rolls. If you're not registered to vote, you won't get called to jury duty. People ask a lot of
wow.
There's dear friends of mine, the organizers who were organizing around the Ahmaud Arbery case. People forget that the Ahmaud Arbery case was closed. That they viewed it as a legal kill, and then the activists went down there, made a bunch of noise. The voting coalitions organized and got a whole lot of people registered to vote, not because they cared if they voted or not, because they needed them for the jury pool. Jury pool, yeah. They needed jury pool. So then that's why you saw all those black people on Ahmaud Arbery's jury. Absolutely. Think about why they are trying to classify getting an abortion as a felony. Think about why they classify weed as a felony. If you're a felon, you can't vote. You can't vote, you're not on the jury.
Wow.
You don't get to make decisions about the people that live in your own community.
Wow.
And the sad part too, meaning like you said something earlier, a lot of people came out when T.I. came out, when 2 Chainz came out, whoever came, when those type of people came out. It's so crazy. The suit and ties are not the people that's going to bring the people, right? Especially the youth who is their vote really matters. They need someone to look up to and someone that looks like them. That's going to bring them in. Like, all right, it's okay to do this. Just like why the lyrics of these rap songs, they hold a sentimental value to the youth, right? So, and now if the 2 Chainz is coming out, the T.I.s is coming out and doing these things, like the younger people going to understand that it's cool to vote. It's cool to, find out who's in the office and find out their rules, to find out the things that they believe in, because that's important. Their votes really matter. The youth it matters.
How do we reach them?
Sorry, what you said?
How do we reach them?
I'm going to be very honest, right? You're not going to be able to touch your congresswoman. At all. You're not going to be able to touch Biden. You're not touching Kamala Harris. Hell, you're not touching your congress people. No, what you can do is come down to Trinity Avenue and walk into your council member's office, and they have to see. They have to see, yeah. They have to see you. I tell people that all the time. Your state reps and your state senators, the law down there under the gold dome, not for your city council, but I know at the Capitol is, as long as you stand in the rotunda and you do not interrupt session and you do not take the stairs during session, you can stand in the rotunda, which means I can stand in the rotunda until session breaks. And when my person comes down, I can say, hello, sir, I'm Kimberly Latrice Jones. I'm in your District 53. I would like your business card. I would like
like to get on your schedule. I have some things happening in my district that I would like to talk to you about.
That's right.
Because you have to know the law so that you can participate. How are we playing the game? We don't even know the rules to the system. I tell people that all the time. And Nikki, to your question, how do we touch the young people? We meet them where they are. We keep wanting to be like, vote because your ancestors worked for it. These things that mean something to us, that don't mean anything to them. But I'm gonna tell you what means something to people. Every young person I know on the internet, everywhere in the world, is talking about how they want to get a bag. They gotta get to the bag. Okay, so let's start educating young people about how they get government contracts. Let's start educating people about the fact that your legislators, whether it's your state senator, your state rep, your county commissioner, your city council, that they have two jobs: policy and budget. Yes. Policy and budget. So what happens with that budget? That budget means that they have line items that say for entertainment. We talked about this. They might have $1 million that they have to give out for arts and entertainment that year. They might have $100,000 that they got to give out to start new business that year. And then we have to go get that money because people have convinced us of a narrative with a lot of the propaganda that's been online about, oh, you don't want to give government money, you don't want to get a handout, you don't want to be some of the, baby, when I paid for this phone, I paid a tax. When I bought this book, I paid a tax.
Speak it. Come on. Yeah.
I'm 46 years old. I've been working since I was 16. For 30 years, every time I bought as much as a stick of gum, I paid some tax. Baby, I'm going to be damned if I don't go down there and get some of my money back for the betterment of my people. And you better start a 501c3. Profit in your community. Have a direct thing that you are focusing and working on. If it's the environment, if it's defeating poverty, if it's fighting police brutality, you better have a specialization so you learn how to make the relationships in there. Take a year, do it well, then go down to your city council and say, I'm in District 13, and I know that you guys just put together $1 million that you have to give away for arts and entertainment. I got program where I teach kids how to dance and I keep them off the streets. Matter of fact, now I want to be a diversion program. How do I become a diversion program? I've talked to 3 judges in juvenile court this week that said they're looking for new diversion programs and that they will take kids who like arts and entertainment, and instead of sending them to jail, they will send them to me after school and they have to check in with me and I can turn that paperwork in. But I need another $100,000 to run that program. We can put your name. It could be Commissioner Judy Bell presents the Dance It All Up after school program. We got to learn the system because we're working against a system that we don't even understand.
Can I say that you're 1,000, maybe 1,000,000% correct, right? I'm a writer by trade, I write, right? But at the end of the day, what I did was I started my 501c3, my nonprofit organization called Little Buddies Love, Little Buddies, right? Because in Philadelphia here, the murder rate with the youth is up, right? It's at an all-time high. So my duty now is to go back into the neighborhood that I grew up in. I don't live there no more, but go back into the neighborhood and encourage the kids. But I play basketball, so I encourage them to do sports by throwing free events. We're about to do a Little Buddy fit camp for families, not just for the kids, because if we say we were going to do a basketball tournament for father and son, but there are a lot of fatherless households.
Yes.
So we said, you know what, we're going to do family events where bonus mom can come out, bonus dad, grandma, grandpa, the whole family can come out and do something together because that's what's missing in this generation. This generation don't have structure, right? They don't see mom and dad. They don't see. So who becomes their friends? Their homies.
Yeah.
And Ray mom might be working.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, yeah.
So they become each other's friends and they out here, the internet is raising them.
I want to go back to what Kim talked about was money, right? City of Atlanta's budget is $8 billion. The state of Georgia's budget is $27.3 billion. According to the law in the state of Georgia, 33% of all contracts must go to minorities.
Wow, really?
Y'all know how much goes? Less than 7%.
Absolutely.
Less than 7%.
Because we don't know how to get it, to go for it. You know, that's what they're here.
Get this money.
Wow.
We have a budget here. $8 billion, right? $8 billion.
I said we got $1 billion here. Right.
$8 billion. You know how many people showed up to that budget hearing? 0. I was there.
I wish I could see.
What?
So we're talking about, hey, we don't have a
Wow.
15 people are making these
50,
decisions.
50, 50.
15, 1 5.
1 5.
One five. 15 people are making these decisions. And also to go back to what the
Nikki, save me some, Nikki. I need some.
15 people because we're just not showing up.
Because we're just not showing up. And let me tell you something. Go back to what the brother was saying about the program he started. Another thing we don't know about how to be civically engaged. There are, I don't even know how many committees that are on the list that have to be formed at the city and the state level. So if you're building relationships with your city councilors and people like that, there are usually committees that are committees for father invested programming. Those committees normally sit empty because there's nobody to be the head of the committee. None. So you, brother, you could go and find, I don't know if y'all have councilmen or aldermen or what y'all have in Philly, but you can go to the person that's in that district where you want to do the work and say, hey, do you have a fatherhood committee that doesn't have a chair?
I did one better. I joined it. I'm a ward leader in my neighborhood. I did one
Wow.
better because I want to sit at the table because at the end of the day, when one of the young guys told me, 12 years old, had a little pistol on his hip, and I knew it from understanding where I come from. He said their motto is to live fast and die young. So I said, you know what? And he listened to me. He said, you know what? I had a long conversation, brought tears to his eyes, right? He said, you remind me of my dad. I said, where your dad at? He said, I ain't seen him since I was 1. He's incarcerated. Like that right there in itself let me know I got to help make a change. I got to come back, reach back into my community and assist. Because they listen to people like me that look like me, that dress like me. Because I'm the cool one. I got the nice car. They listen. But the suit and ties who want to come out and talk, they're not giving them no mind.
So what is the biggest obstacle? Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mina. What were you gonna say?
I was just going to say the simple thing, right? We talk about a revolution, right? We're building a revolution. There's a revolution coming. The revolution has lanes. Absolutely. Everybody can't be in one lane. Not everybody needs to be politics.
Ooh.
Not everybody needs to be lobbying. Not everybody needs to be at these city hall meetings. That's fine, right? We need someone to make the art. We need someone to make the music. We also need someone to go talk to our youth. If in one lane, these other lanes go unoccupied, and the revolution dies.
Ooh.
We really want the revolution to succeed, and we want this revolution to really be, because we are not only fighting one fight, right? We are fighting a system that is working the exact way it was designed to work. Absolutely. This system was not designed for us at all. This system was designed to work for the powerful, rich, white men. That is it. So if we really want it to work, everybody got to be in their own lane. From the music that we listen to, from the internet that we're on, everything has to be about us, but also tuned in to the bigger picture of the work that we're doing.
So let me ask this question. We talk about young men and the impact of the things that they see in the media. I talk often about the narratives. I think they're absolutely horrible. I think that the mental health is being challenged every single day because we are in a constant, perpetual loop of trauma and bullshit. How do we speak to those influencers? Because I be on my little soapbox and they like, girl, we ain't trying to hear what you're trying to say, whatever it is, what it is. What do you say to those influencers who have millions and millions of people following them? You just said, Mina, soon as Killer Mike and T.I. show up in the spot, it's some shit that's gonna change. How do we fix that part?
A lot of people have co-opted personal wealth and their tax bracket with liberation, and that's not true. That's not the truth, right? No. Because at the end of the day, when that police officer pulls you over, it doesn't matter what
You right.
At all. Right? So one of my favorite quotes to live by is, "You can't use the master's tools to dismantle the master's house." But if you are going to use the master's tools, you have to use them in a way that benefits us, benefits people. Yes. So that means that, yeah, you have all this wealth, but if you are not putting that wealth back into the community, if you're raised on Cleveland Avenue and you become a millionaire and you move, and then you have these people coming in and gentrifying it, what's the point of you claiming Cleveland Avenue if you left? social media, whether it be Hollywood, whatever, right? To come back to the communities that they're in and stay there. Right? The one big thing that everybody says is, again, we work with the poorest of the poor people in Atlanta, right? Mm-hmm. The reason why they look up to a Young Thug and Gunna, regardless of a RICO charge, is because Young Thug and Gunna stayed on Cleveland Avenue even after they get $1 million. Wow. That's why. You have Tyler Perry in the same neighborhood, and he hasn't hired one person from that neighborhood yet. But he's there with a multi-billion-dollar studio. And he held an appreciation day for the police, but ain't held nothing but a. We ain't gonna talk about that. He held a what now? Hold up. We ain't gonna slide by that. He held a what? He held an appreciation day for I heard about that. For the police, right? So you can't. Wow. You can't take the brightest. Just like when we're talking about how enslaved folks got here, right? They didn't pick everyone. They picked the brightest. They picked the smartest. They picked the strongest. And we're still perpetuating those cycles when we leave these neighborhoods that we're coming up out of. You've made something out of yourself. You went to college and you're not coming back. So now that neighborhood is in the same shape that you left it because now you're up frolicking in Buckhead, but you don't care about where you came from. So these people have to come back and talk to these kids. These kids need to see that you can actually make it. The reason why Antonio Lewis can go hard on District 12 and he can come down to Cleveland Avenue is one, he doesn't go switch when he's down at council, but also he'll go down there and shoot some dice with the kids. But he'll also tell them that this is how we have to do it. Right. But you have to show them a way. You have to show them the light. Right. We have traumatized kids coming from traumatized communities that go into traumatized schools. They come back into a traumatized home, and we're not breaking the cycle of trauma anywhere. Right? Woo. Just that today at one of our schools, they found a body last Monday. A body at a school? In the middle of the road. So kids, a 15-year-old girl's body at a school, and these kids have to. Oh, a 15-year-old girl found the body. Found the body. She went home. We reached out to her. She lives with her sister, who is 19, and has custody of her. So she's going to go back into that school. She's going to go back into this community. And where are we breaking that cycle of trauma? So when kids are getting on here and talking about rapping and killing, and they're going out with these guns, and we're seeing all this gun violence, but we are not taking the time out of our day, out of our positions of privilege, to take it to them and say, hey, this is how we break the cycle. You ain't got to go to college to break the cycle. Kid goes on and on and on about trade school. You ain't got to do that. Right. You just got to be involved. Find your lane. Nick, you see this is one of my best friends. Listen, she one of my best friend. All y'all my best friends for real. Like I'm like claiming. Listen, because the thing is, there's so much separation, and y'all are so smart, and y'all are so informed, and y'all are in the trenches, and y'all are on the ground. And what pissed me the entire off is that this isn't a mainstream conversation. This isn't a conversation that we're on. And then when we have a network like a BNC, or there's so much power in knowledge. There's so much power in information. And all we keep seeing is this bullshit and it drives me bananas because I don't know half the shit y'all are telling me. Like, I'm like, we hear the Gold Dome all the time. I've never been in that building, but guess what, Kimberly? Guess what, Mina? Guess what, House? I'm coming. I'm coming on y'all's invitation. I'll be there. The system at work, the system doesn't want you to know about it. At all. So when we're talking about creating our alternative pockets of power, we also have to use this information, right? This is a tool. Social media is a tool. Instead of using it as pictures and whatever. Come on, somebody. Share. We can use this space to educate people, right? How many kids that graduate from high school that know how to fill out their taxes? But we have people that fill out taxes in our communities. They need to be using these spaces. CNN is never going to tell you about this stuff, right? The Shade Room, the most anti-black ass page that I've ever seen on social media, is never going to tell you about this shit. Wow. I'm sorry for my language. Nah, we keeping it real here. We keep it real.
Chainz was doing his and was taping his interview after me. Well, Breakfast Club is live, so there's no way to like stop it or whatever. Do you know Chainz messed around downstairs, delayed, came upstairs to the last minute, and I ran into him at the verses for Ball and G and Bun B, and I was like, "Oh man, Chainz, I'm so sorry that I delayed you." He said, "Nah, I delayed myself."
Ooh, baby!
You deserved an hour. You deserve.
That's love. That's love. Good.
That is how, that right there is how you use your power.
For the culture.
Shout out to Chainz. He's what?
That's how you use your power.
That's exactly
privilege. Right. It was like when he found out they was giving me 30 minutes, he delayed himself so that I could get an hour.
That's a blessing. See, that goes to show good men that do exist. Like whatever, ladies, whatever. I know I'm all the way in Philly, but I promise you, I love the ATL. I'll come down there. I can assist. I can help.
Y'all, we gotta do something together. Count me. Tell me where I'm going. I'm with you, Haas. Tell me where I'm going.
Community, man. Look, slide in my DM. I'm gonna give you my email address, and we can all get some stuff. And Nikki, can I give a shameless plug while I'm
What? Are you kidding me? Absolutely.
September 22nd here in Atlanta. If you're in Atlanta, if you're somewhere nearby, if you're in Alabama, Florida, Tennessee, anywhere you could drive in from 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. at the C.T. Martin Natatorium. We are doing my organization, TPU. Stop making that face, Mina. I didn't do it in her district, so she mad at me. We are doing a trade school fair called Trading Up 2022. We will have a multitude of trade schools out there. Free food all day for everybody who attends. Swag. We will have FAFSA out there explaining to y'all how y'all can get grants to cover the entirety of your trade education. Listen, not everybody needs the $100,000 college brain mortgage. There are great jobs out here, certifications you can get in plumbing, in electrical work, in help desk. Microsoft will be in the building talking about programs that they have where you can only get certified. Even people like Terminex will be in the building because when you get hired with them, they pay for you to get your exterminator certification.
Wow.
We will have all the trade schools in the building, free and open to the public, free food. We'll have several panels of people talking about how they became successful in trade education September 22nd at C.T. Martin.
What is the at? Where do they need to follow? I'm about to pin it right now.
They need to follow the People's Uprising.
At the People's Uprising. Let me put it in here right now.
And ladies too, I wanna see if I can come down there too, because what I'm thinking of doing here is starting a literary class for the youth, right? Because all these kids have stories, and by them getting their stories out, me having a gift. I went to school for biology. I ain't use that at all, But when I came to me writing, that's something a gift that I had. I used to use that when I was young, a long time ago, to write love letters to the ladies. Now I'm like, I got to use this the right way in order to use my gifts correctly. You know what I mean? And it's like a lot of these kids have a lot of pent up information that can get out. Nick, like me and you, we can do that. We can do like a whole literary thing for the youth.
I would absolutely listen. Use me. I don't know. Give me direction. Tell me what I need to do, where I need to be, because at the end of the day, it's so funny. You talk about how people leave the communities, right? And I'm from Detroit. And one of the things that has been so upsetting for me, and I was guilty of the shit too, as soon as I got my, I'm going, I saw Dead Poet Society, I left school and I pursued my career. And we get into this space of like, we got to get out of the hood. We got to get out of, but at the end of the day, our kids are still there, and not just our kids. A friend of mine posted something and she said her mom told her to go back to school and to, apply for this job as a principal. And she's just like, I really want to help the kids. And her mother said, if you help the teachers, you're helping more children. If you help more teachers, you're helping more kids. And in my community, I look around and I see that, we've been famous for Motown. Big Sean is doing really beautiful things in the city of Detroit. Eminem has the Mathers Foundation. He's doing really beautiful things in the city of Detroit. But so many people left. They left with Motown. And Detroit, unfortunately, has never fully recovered because, to your point, Mina, everybody just got up and booked up because they was like, look, I'm out of here. I don't have to live in the hood no more. It is so important that we go back to the communities, especially as we become wiser. Like, I'm smarter now. I understand what my mother and my family members were trying to tell me about how important it is to sow those seeds, to plant those seeds in our communities, right? And I just want to say, anybody who is from a impoverished area, or an area that has fewer resources and opportunities, who has made a ton of money and has a ton of popularity, it's okay. You want those people that came from that community with you to see that you balling, and you want them to see that you doing the damn thing. But once the dancing is stopped and you done being all up in the videos, take the initiative to go back into your community. All these lessons, all these experiences that ain't nobody else teaching us, right? We have to teach each other. We have to reach back and help each other, because you're not winning if the people who live in the communities that you come from are not winning. And we're the only ones to do it. These politicians don't give a shit. These corporations don't give a shit. The only people who are able to go into those communities that we come from to make positive changes in those communities and plant those seeds, it's our mother. Please.
In the first week of October, Voice of the People is going to be doing a whole week of lobbying training. We did this last year to get ready for the upcoming legislative session. We know we have elections, but everyone has a story, right? You care about smoking weed, go lobby for weed to be legalized.
Wow.
You care about housing, go lobby for it, right? Lobbying is just telling your story. And all of us have these stories that we talk about and we come out, and our stories need to be more than just being on social media. We need to be telling them to the people that can make the laws. So first week of October, every single day from 6 to 8, Voice of the People will be hosting a live session. We're gonna go through how do you
She using you for your followers, girl. That's what you supposed to do.
I saw Chris Brown was on here and a couple other people, Griggs on the NAACP, when they got something, they sent it to me like, hey sis, can you post this for me real quick? And it's a bit coming up. Listen, there's so much that we can do. And just to add what all of us have said about finding your place. Look, I'm a New York Times bestselling author. Everybody who I know knows that first of all, people don't realize that as an author, when you tour schools, you get a speaking fee, right? Yeah. I waive my speaking fee for Title I schools. Title I schools can give me completely free. And then I work with an organization or a nonprofit. I pay my own way there. I get my own hotel. I come to those schools for free. And then I work with local organizations to make sure that all the kids that see me get the book for free. I'm still getting paid because the organization still bought the book.
Right.
Come on, Kim. Come to Philly. Come to Philly, Kim.
I just last month taught a free writing class in Philly at the Solutionary Center.
Wow.
Damn, I wish I would have.
Wow.
I followed y'all too.
Kim, I need you in Detroit. I need all of y'all in Detroit. I'm not even gonna hold you up. I need y'all in Detroit. We're doing a really awesome event in Detroit in October. Now's my time for a plug. And we're actually partnering with JP Morgan Chase, Advancing Black Pathways. Shout out to Bina Elliott and Nicole Harmon and Bree Mills and all these amazing people who have embraced me, because my education is now coming and just understanding all of this, the stuff that they tried to like not have us understand in this industry, right? Just shut up and sing. Go out there, grab that microphone, and don't say nothing about nothing. So we're teaching about obviously financial literacy and financial wellness, right? But I would love, and it's virtual as well, I would love to get you guys in some dialogue with the people in our community, because I just think that Detroit, Atlanta, Philly, Chicago, all of these cities with all of these beautiful, amazing, talented people of color, right? Deserve to have the information, be armed with the knowledge and information that y'all have. And I know that y'all are out there doing big things. And I know that you guys, Joseph is like, do an episode for Worth TV. We on Worth TV on YouTube as well. But I know you guys are out there doing really big things in the community. But it's important for the community to know it, and to also know like you said, if you are passionate about legalizing marijuana, if you have a person that you love that is in the prison system right now because of a marijuana charge, if you we're talking about this woman, what sparked this whole conversation. See, this is why I wanted to unpack this and have this talk. When you start talking about mental health and you start talking about people just losing it, just think about if this woman, hypothetically speaking, I know if was a fifth, we'd all be drunk. But if this woman knew people like you who could say, hey, there's some resources out here for you to get help for this or for that or for the other, and didn't feel like her only alternative was to go in and take somebody's life or to snap out and just lose it, then there would still be two people alive right now. We would still, you understand what I'm saying? Hypothetically speaking, of course, we don't understand the importance of voting locally. We don't understand the importance of the role that the government. Can you talk a little bit about that mental health in Atlanta? Because I've been trying forever to get mental health help for people that I know and love. What is that? What is that?
It's real. It's real. Y'all ladies
Y'all choking? What is it? Real quick, what is it? What's going on?
Non-existent.
Mm.
And the reason I say that is this, right? Mental. There's one program in the city of Atlanta that deals with mental health services. Policing alternatives and diversion. You see somebody that is having a mental health crisis, quality of life crisis, you call them, right? But it all goes back to money. And this is what I would say, right? PAD gets $1 million from the city of Atlanta. Now keep in mind, I told you earlier, the police get $200 million. It's $1 million. They're not even 24 hours. They close at 7 p.m. So if somebody's family is having a health concern after 7 p.m., they can't even call PAD. No. So it goes back to funding, right? But also, more importantly, over the past 4 years, right, we've gone back to this 90s rhetoric about being tough on crime, rise in crime, violent crime, like whatever, right? And a lot of that stems from mental health issues. When I don't have a place to sleep and I'm sleeping on concrete every night, when I don't have food to eat and I'm digging out of trash cans, when I don't have safe water to drink, when I am scared for my life every single day, what do I have to lose? Nothing. I have nothing to lose. Right. So I am going to out there and committing a crime. Coming back to the woman that shot two people today, right? Right. She had nothing to lose. So she decided that that was okay. All of our issues can be fixed with resources. And resources go back to money. And until we get a grasp on how our money is spent, right? The $8 billion that the city of Atlanta spends and the $200 billion the state of Georgia spends comes from us. It comes from our money dollars. Us, right? The people in politics works for us. And until we start looking at mental health issue not just as a crazy person that gets locked up on the 13th floor of a hospital, but more as a situation that everybody deals with, we are not going to fix the issue. We have police officers responding to mental health calls when they have no training to do it. Yeah. We have people. I suffer from depression, PTSD, and anxiety. I can probably talk down to someone that is having a panic attack more than a police officer with a gun will. Because you have the experience. Because I have the experience. And the crazy thing is the state of Georgia has a program like that. That's called Certified Peer Specialist. Right. But we don't fund them, so they are not available anymore.
Wow.
Right? So going back to money. But mental health in a total, looking at it from a drone viewpoint, right? We are not funding it, but more importantly, we are not taking it seriously. There are such stigmas around mental health. You can't talk about mental health without people calling you crazy. Absolutely. Right? Right. And then suddenly everyone learned the word depression and PTSD and it gets thrown around like it's no big deal. So we are desensitizing ourselves to everything else, but we still have these stigmas around these issues that people go through. These things are generational. They're in our blood. Absolutely.
Yes, they are.
And these things happen, right? When you freeze up because a police officer is behind you and maybe nothing has ever happened to you with a police officer before, but that shit comes to you.
Yeah. somebody was affected by or hurt by the police because of that.
And the other part of it that's blowing my mind is that they're spending what, $200 some million in police, and how much of that goes towards their mental health training?
No, goes towards overtime.
None. 50 million disappears every year, so
yeah, that's overtime, and that's the sad part.
That's the and the thing that we have to keep in mind, right? Even when talking about going back to the discussion, how this discussion started, talking about the young lady, we don't know yet. There's still going to be more information rolling out as time goes on. But what we're talking about is her having a beef with her apartment complex. That building is an apartment building. So we're talking about her having a beef with her apartment building that escalated to this. We don't know what undue financial stress and strain this young lady was under. Right. And let me tell you something. Poverty in adulthood is linked to depression, anxiety, psychological distress, suicide, all of that. Poverty and mental health and crime are bedfellows.
Woo!
That building's rent? Kim, that building's rent, the base rent is $1,900 for a studio apartment.
Wow. For a studio apartment.
Studio in that building. A 400 square foot studio. 400 square foot studio in that building is $1,900. So we're talking about a collision of poverty, mental health, and crime. So that's why I tell these politicians all the time, don't talk to me about crime unless you're going to talk to me about poverty. Don't talk to me about crime unless you're going to talk to me about mental health concerns, because they are all
connected.
They are all intertwined. Mayor Dickens made a speech at his inauguration talking about how 60% of the crime is committed by people between the ages of 13 and 24.
Woo! Woo!
Goes back to trauma.
And then we start talking about, then we wonder why. It's just music. It's just a TV show. It's just you have these young, impressionable minds that are out here snapping and breaking in and shooting and have no respect or appreciation for life. And you're feeding them more toxic trauma. It's like you just feeding them all this bullshit that they can't sift through. They're not adults. They can't make a determination as to what is real life and what's just some BS. And I understand that, there is a very serious problem with, what is it called? Drill music, drill rap, or drill music or whatever. But where's the onus on the labels that are putting it out? Like what? I mean, like you got these kids that are like, yeah, bang, bang, bang. Listen, tripped me out. I had no idea the little thing we was doing all on social media. The little dance, you know what I'm saying? They're naming people that got shot, and I'm doing it with my grandson in social media. We're like doing this trend because it's just a song that's gone everywhere. And we have no idea that they're naming people that got killed, that they done shot allegedly in these songs. And you got all of this promotion and all of this marketing and all of this, and it's at some point we have to really point the finger at the folks who know better than these 13-year-olds and these 20-year-olds that keep pumping this shit into our communities because it's making a ton of money, right?
But they see that it's making a ton of money.
Yeah.
So when they see that it's making a ton of money, they're like, oh shit, if I go shoot and I deal dope and I'm standing on the corner, I'm going to be just like Lil Baby. Yeah. I'm going to be just like these folks.
From the trenches, and I got a $1 million car. I can drive what I want. I can do what I want, live what I want. But in regards to the young lady we were just speaking about, she took the necessary protocol in notifying the police.
That's crazy.
And that's the crazy part right there that we haven't really talked about. She took the necessary steps to report this alleged crime before she reacted on the alleged crime. That's the part right there where even when the cop was talking to Nick, played the video earlier, do you hear how the police officer was talking to her?
Yeah. And I got another video and I said,
cry for help.
Yep, it was a cry for help. And it's another video where they're just blowing her off. Like, right? You know what I'm saying? And I really am not one of those people. I'm not against any particular group of people. I'm against people with character flaws that do dumb shit. The same way I don't want people generalizing saying all black women are ratchet and we loud and we stupid and we gonna go shoot up a place. I'm not gonna point the finger and say all cops are bad. What I'm gonna say is, in that particular situation, this lady was reaching out for help and they just was like, whatever, go over there, go, yeah, what?
It's systemic. I'm not going to say all cops are bad,
but it is systemic.
Job description is to hold up a system that oppresses people by conditioning. You are upholding that system, right? If we have policies in place that, hey, if someone is saying this to me, maybe, hey, I can. You know, the crazy part is we were in the public safety committee when this happened.
Wow.
The committee was going on talking about the crime report when we got the ding from APD saying that there's a mass shooter outside. Right?
Wow.
So what if we change the policy, right? And said, hey, if this happens, and even if, right, it's a hoax, we look into it.
Yeah.
Right? But we have to have those conversations with the people who can make those changes. Right? Is this going to be another incident that goes around the news cycle and then it ends? Just like Columbine, just like Sandy Hook, just like Parkland, just like Las Vegas Post, or is this going to be something that we act upon? Because when we talk about gun violence prevention or we talk about mental health, right, it always comes down to certain specific cherry picking of topics that we do.
Ooh.
Right? Because the only reason Parkland ever came to the forefront is because it was a school with an average net worth of around $800,000. This would have not made the news if this happened on Cleveland Avenue.
No.
This would have never made the news if it happened on the South Side.
Right.
But it happened in a really rich area. So now it's up to us to look at these policies about why did the police officer blow her off? Why did he not take her seriously?
And it was what's crazy is it was another black woman.
It was a woman.
But it's the people who are upholding the system. 6 months of training does not qualify you to get a gun in a bag when you were bullied in high school. So now you think that you can bully more people with your gun in your bag.
Ooh, you said a mouthful.
All the time. It takes you longer to get a cosmetology license than it does to become a police officer. Ain't that something?
But you're out here and you're talking about you serving and protecting. That lady needed protecting from herself. And you didn't protect her. Right. You didn't protect her.
We need to offer, like when we're working on this legislation and we're making these decisions, we need full wraparound services. You cannot cherry pick which services you want to offer to people. We need wraparound services. So if I am servicing that group, the 13 to 24-year-old group that is committing 60% of the crime in Atlanta, and I recognize that what we don't need is more policing for them, is what we need more pathways to success. Equity and access for these people. A part of that package that I put together has to offer wraparound services to that household, because if I'm taking the kid on the weekend and in the evenings and giving them hope, but they're walking back into hell Monday through Friday in that home, and they have parents who have mental health concerns, they have parents who are extremely impoverished, the lights may not be on when they get home from school, the only meal that they're eating is when they're at school, and they're starving on the weekends. Nothing that I'm doing in that program is going to prevent them from having a setback when they get home and there's no food in the house. So they're going to be out on the corner selling dope. They're going to bop you in your head. They're going to break in your car. They're going to block up traffic selling water. They're going to do all of that if we don't fix the whole of the household. And all of us have to be more responsible about the conversations in which we engage in, because they don't have to put out propaganda pieces anymore, because they have our mind so ready to push propaganda itself. If I hear one more conversation about a submissive woman when the majority of these children are growing up in not a two-parent home, about how to fix the love break in the community so that we can build and have healthy households, that we can teach people how to understand that a marriage is a contract that also actually changes your net worth. Amen. That's going to affect your child. Yes.
Assist you with legacy building. Absolutely. Make it easier for some of that poverty stress to come off of you because you have somebody holding your hand through the
partner. A partner. Amen.
Baby, that poverty stress.
When we're talking, you hit on the water boys, Kim, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't know if y'all know about the water boys in Atlanta. They sell water on the corner.
On the corners.
Whatever, right?
I see them every time I visit.
Has anyone ever have all these people that put it on ATL Scoop? They'll put it on the shade room, whatever. Have y'all stopped to talk to them about why they're selling water?
Ooh. Ooh.
Because mama can't afford the light bill this month. And I have to make that money. But then you grab them up and you're saying, hey, how about you go get a job at McDonald's making $7.50 an hour? When they making $300 a day selling water.
Water ain't no different than the street pharmaceuticals. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the crazy shit.
They don't have to pay taxes on it. They don't have to pay no taxes.
You know what? So in my head, I'm thinking, oh, they could be great entrepreneurs. Why don't we help them set up?
Bingo.
If you see someone out here that is, artistic, help them get somewhere else.
Bingo.
But you are so focused on how someone will say what someone will say about someone's situation that you are so brainwashed into not even helping out the other person. When you walk into City Hall, when you walk into the Capitol, you are stepping over homeless people. Going in to make the city about $10 billion contract.
Wow.
But you're not helping them.
No.
When we're talking about people, any police brutality case, right? And you're like, oh, this person had a gun, whatever, right? And it's a system, and you're so quick to say, well, they had a gun, you should shoot, right? And I'm not just talking about the police officers. I've heard this from people themselves. It's a conditioning of the brain. There are so many things that have conditioned us to believe what they are saying is true. And we go off of that. And we spread that narrative around. When you are reposting something from the shade room, talking about how, what's his name? Will slapped Chris. And that is your main topic of the day and not the fact that the day that happened, your city council voted on an $8 billion budget. That shows your priorities. Because, yeah, maybe only 50 people watch your story. But those 50 people could have known about something else. Those 50 people could be the reason that you break a trauma cycle to them. Right? The cycle of trauma is so deeply ingrained in society. Everything is traumatizing.
Everything.
We share videos of black men getting killed.
Yep.
Right? We share videos of people jumping off of bridges.
Yep.
We share videos of this happening and that happening. We saw videos of the shooting that happened in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
But how many times did you click on a story and see a video of C-SPAN going? A video of what happened at your city council meeting going?
Wow, yeah.
What we put out into the community is what the community is going to put into us. And right now, the only thing we're putting into our communities is trauma. And it's trauma,
baby.
And poverty and trauma.
Baby.
And we are glamorizing trauma now.
Woo.
We have come to a point where that is good. Right? It's trauma porn. People live for it. It's how they live.
Woo, it's so good to man, listen. Thank you.
For the fact that a black man was punched in his head by Arkansas police, you just click right by it. Because you are so desensitized to the trauma that you don't even know that you're taking in trauma anymore.
Absolutely.
And you brought propaganda, right? You brought the propaganda. See, the greatest trick they ever played was to make us feel like we didn't have any power and make sure that you feel hopeless. So you sit around saying stuff like, all them folks just gonna do what they want to do anyway. It don't matter. Well, yeah, they want you to think that way because a hopeless man won't move.
Ooh. Woo, Kimberly. Oh my God, y'all. Lord have mercy.
In Pennsylvania, one of my biggest issues, not with you, with
thank you.
From people from the north, right? Mm-hmm. The South is gone, right? Georgia, done deal. Florida, we don't need to talk about them anymore. They don't do this, they don't do that. But these are the people that are fighting, right? We fight harder here in the South than people in the North do.
That's true.
Georgia. They're a lost cause. When that hurricane flew through Texas and people were saying, oh, well, they vote red, maybe we shouldn't help them.
Ooh!
Trauma that's talking.
Ooh!
Lita, that's deeper than trauma. That is a hurt and not wanting to do anything. No. I can just chalk it up so these people are going to do whatever they want to do, that I'm going to write off this state, that I don't have to care about that because it's non-effective of me. It allows me to comfortably sit in my house, point the finger over there, and know that I'm going to continue to do nothing. You know how many times when all of us were standing down there fighting HB 531, that bad voting bill, and people were in my DMs and on my posts talking about, Kim, I live in Seattle, what can I do? Kim, I live in California, what can I do? Kim, I live in Illinois, what can I do? What you can do is do exactly what you're watching us do in your state. Because that the legislation in your state is not impactful on impoverished people, that's not impactful on Black and brown people, is not impactful on women, is a delusion that you feel comfortable sitting in when you watch Florida and Georgia, and allows you to be still, comment online, and not get up and do what it is you need to do to handle these people that work for you. Because keep in mind, we pay these people don't pay us, that they work for us, we don't work for them. Because what people don't recognize is that your vote is your ability to hire and fire.
Woo!
It is. And the biggest thing, right? These people you're hiring and firing, they have one constitutional job, and it's the budget. It's the money. It's the budget.
The budgets that we don't come into the meetings to even know exist, or know that there's plenty of resources out there available for us to help. Mm-hmm. Them 15 people.
I do not have to go to work till next March if I don't want to, because that is the constitutional duty of any legislature, is to pass a budget. But that money is the same money that is used to buy the weapons that police are using to kill people. That budget is the same place where we get the money for these developers to build $500,000 condos in the hood. These are the same budget that uses this money to oppress us even more. But it is okay for us to be posting about Will slapping Chris, not about the fact that the budget just gave them money to do all of this and more. And then you don't even know what the modalities are in your community to fight this. Like in Atlanta, we have NPUs, the neighborhood planning units. We need to pay attention to what happened. Developers move into marginalized neighborhoods, join the NPU, work their way up to being the president of the NPU, and then get legislation put in place in that district that's going to allow them to push you out of your community. And you're not the fucking NPU. So now you ain't on the NPU, so you don't know that this man that's the president of the NPU has lived there for 6 months and he don't really live there. He just owns